week 11 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few running backs I have as sleepers this week. The first guy, Latavius Murray of the Buffalo Bills. So Latavius Murray, he might get more work now after having a good showing. Week 10 loss versus the Denver Broncos and scoring a touchdown in that one on 9 carries, 68 yards, a touchdown, 2 catches for 1 yard. So right now, with Dorsey out, his offensive coordinator over there in Buffalo. And Buffalo just getting off to very slow starts in the first half of games all season long. I think they're going to have to establish the run a little bit. I think Latavius Murray earlier on in games is going to get more runs. And then you come in with the burner and James Cook in the second half of these games. So right now, after coming off a nice ball game versus former team, the Denver Broncos, and I know a tough matchup versus the New York Jets this week, the tougher defenses in the league. Latavius Murray out there right now in 85% of fantasy leagues. And we know he's a short yardage running back. We know he's a goal line back over the last few seasons. And that's why he's stuck around in the NFL at 33 years old, because within the 5-yard line, he's top 5 in touchdowns in the last 5 years as Latavius Murray. So right now, I think he'll get more carries. They want to shake this offense up a little bit. And Murray, like I said, he's a guy, if he could get 40, 50 total yards and a touchdown, that's a decent flex day. Next running back's Rico Dowdle of the Dallas Cowboys. So Rico Dowdle creeping, I think, to get more work in this Dallas Cowboy offense. Tony Pollard really hasn't shown much over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And Dowdle had one of his better games last week. 12 carries, 79 yards and a touchdown. I know third, fourth quarter was garbage time where the Cowboys, at one point, they were up in this game 34 points, finishing with the 32-point victory, 49-17. So Dowdle, in between the tackles, he's a more physical back than Tony Pollard. Pollard more the game breaker and speed running back. And Dowdle, I think, is going to get more work as the season's going to go on. We've seen some games this season he has pop games, and then a nice game versus the New York Giants. And I think if he could get that 10-12 touch range, is Rico Dowdle, he could carve out a sleeper play this week. So this week, a good matchup at the Panthers. Give up the second most fantasy points to running backs on the season. And Dowdle might see the field once again to have an opportunity out there in 88% of fantasy leagues. And the final running back I have as a sleep is Joshua Kelly of the Los Angeles Chargers. So Green Bay, very weak against the run this season. Give up the 7th most fantasy points to running backs on the season. We know Austin Eckler, obviously one of the better backs in the league, getting a monster workload once again this season. But we've seen some flashes from Kelly as a change of pace back this season as well, where he's a bigger physical back and a short yardage type of running back. So if you need a guy that you're hoping that could just get a goal line stomper, I think it's a possibility for Joshua Kelly in this one. The weather's going to be cold over there in Green Bay, and obviously a West Coast team with warm weather and an indoor team as well, like this Charger team, to come to the East Coast in November where temperatures are dropping, especially in Lambeau Field. That's where you're going to want to run the football a little bit. So it wouldn't be surprising if Kelly's workload goes up a little bit in this type of ball game. And he's a sleeper this week. So that's a few running backs I have as sleepers for week 11 of the fantasy football season.